College Hill Celebrity Edition Season 3, Episode 5. So they said that they're doing their finals for their half term. So it sounds like they're doing midterms to me. So obviously Saucy didn't attend that meeting that we talked about that all the teachers were having about him. And remember how I said one of the teachers said she never even met him. So that's the teacher that they have to go with to the whole Zulu Mardi Gras parade. So she came to the house to meet everybody and talk about that, talk about them going to the parade and also to meet Santana. So when she got there, Santana was still laying in the bed, and Nick went up there and was like, she came to see you. You need to come downstairs. Santana was like, I don't know how I feel about her popping up, like, to come see me. And Nick was like, no, you should feel good about that. She want the best for you. Like, she trying to get you to do what you need to do. And Nick is like, Saucy made the pact with Carlos for them to both do better. And Carlos is doing better. And look at Santana. He's still acting the same way. So basically, the professor is down there telling them again about the project. While they're at the parade, they have to make sure they take 5 pictures with the locals or something about the parade and give the history behind that. So the professor lets them know to brace themselves, and once again that they will be seeing people in blackface, and some of those people will be white because in the 1970s the Zulus allowed the club to be integrated. So Carlos is still just like, this is very uncomfortable for me, and he's really not feeling it at this point. Like I said, I wouldn't really want to go, and he don't really want to go. But the same way he ended up going, if it was something for school, I would go. But it's like I would still feel how I feel. Like I don't really want to be here. I'm gonna do the assignment, and I'm a lie and act like I care about it, but like I wouldn't feel it. So Tamar and China get the uncomfortability of it, but they're like, it's a tradition, and clearly the club wanted to integrate and they allow it, and they're preserving the tradition. So it's history. So they get it, and they're like, we should just go ahead and have a good experience. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I would still go and have an experience with my classmates, but I would still have how I feel in the back of my mind. Carlos is basically talking to Tamar and like, fuck the experience. Like, I'm not feeling this shit. So Saucy never came downstairs, and they're about to leave, and Claudia and China are like, so if he doesn't come, is that it for him? And she's basically like, yeah, this is the midterm, so if he doesn't come and take the 5 pictures, he's gonna be done. So Santana chooses to not come, and they go ahead to the parade. So the parade did look nice. It looked fun. I definitely would like to go to Mardi Gras once in my life, or just to visit New Orleans, period. I know they got good food, and there's a lot of black history there, so that's somewhere I do want to visit. And I'm glad, they got that experience and got into it. Even Carlos, and he was able to do his assignment. He talked to somebody, interviewed somebody who said they had been coming there since the 80s, and he seemed to understand that. He like, they are preserving the tradition. The white people are here, but they're saying like they don't even play like that. They're not doing the blackface out of disrespect. So he came around. But at the end of the day, just like me, he was in the confessional and was like, yeah, I understand it now and all of that. But at the end of the day, the white people still shouldn't be wearing blackface. Period. Even the black people shouldn't be wearing blackface at this point. Like, let that part of the tradition go and still do the costumes. Like, I don't know. So everybody was disappointed that Santana didn't come. So the parade ends, and now we see China and Claudia going to their track and field practice. And China basically was just like, I'm coming for that valedictorian. So episode 6 that we're going to go over probably later today, maybe tomorrow, is when we're going to get their midterm grades. So when Nick came home, Santana talking about bow. And Nick like, no, I'm not talking to you. Santana talking about, seriously? Yeah, seriously. They disappointed in you. Playing games. So Nick go in Santana room, and he like throws the book at him and like, you're not doing nothing right now. Do your goddamn homework. We about to shut all this shit down, all this partying and laying up. And he was like, if you don't change, you're not going to graduate. And Santana like, yeah, this is the type of stuff that make me get the hell out of here and quit. One side of me feels like Santana was going to do this regardless for his experience. But another part of me does feel like them continuously egging him on from the beginning and saying like, you're the youngest one. You're the party one out of the group. And we're going to be on you because you missed the first day. And not really giving him a chance to adjust and seeing if it would change. Maybe that pushed him to keep it going. Like, he might be one of those people, like, if you tell me to do something, I'm gonna do the opposite. So everyone's doing their midterms and getting ready. And Carlos is like, I should just call my assistant to do this, right, Tamar? And she was like, don't tempt me. Then Nick is on Santana so much, but he not even ready for his midterm, talking about he might purposely miss the class. So worry about yourself and stop worrying about Santana. Carlos is on his shit, actually. You're not. So if Carlos want to be worried about him, he can. Also, one of their finals is going to be a debate in philosophy with the girls versus the guys. Meanwhile, Santana leaves Carlos and Nick while they're getting ready for the debate and goes back out again to meet his tutor, which is the club. He's like, oh, y'all see me tomorrow. Y'all got this debate. Comes in at 5 a.m., banging on everyone's door, bangs on China's door. Keep that in mind. And also goes into Nick's room and says, we need to have our meeting and get ready for our debate. So Claudia goes to him and she's like, you need to stop doing that. Like, we all have to sleep and get up in the morning because we're taking this seriously. So next morning now, of course, now Santana is knocked out on the couch. Carlos and Nick can't even wake him up, and they don't even really try. They're like, fuck it. He came in with this bullshit. He's not going to be ready. So they're like, we're just going to have to do it by ourselves, and we're going to be down one person. So the debate is going to be 3-on-2. So now they're presenting the Zulu Parade project. So Tamar, Claudia, and Carlos all did really good. Nick's project was decent, but he wasn't able to get PowerPoint together. Like, he didn't know how to use PowerPoint. And instead of asking somebody in the house, he just bought it like that. So he basically had to read the presentation off his phone, and he never sent the presentation to the teacher. China also did very good on her project, and you could just tell that the professor was very happy that Carlos really took the project seriously and came around. So now they're in the philosophy debate, no Santana. So the debate question is it possible to be truly happy in an unjust society? So the girls are arguing for no, and the guys are arguing for yes. So the debate is going on, and the guys start to basically lose. So they do start to get a little more angry because basically they turned one of their points on its head. Nick tried to say that Nelson Mandela was in jail for 27 years, for the whole apartheid thing and everything, but he was happy with it because he was fighting for, his country. And they were like, no, he wasn't. He was fighting for his country because he wasn't happy with the unjust society. And he was literally willing to sit in prison to try to change that. Like Carlos was being rude with his hand gestures like this, like saying like, hurry up. So they were like, he started being rude. So if you want to be rude, we're going to take it there. So Claudia was like, these guys have to self-medicate every single day. And they're trying to argue that they could be happy in an unjust society. Now, obviously, I will say that Claudia did get a little too personal because you shouldn't be bringing up stuff that they do outside of school in school. But at the end of the day, the guys were the people who took it to like a nasty debate. It was a friendly debate and y'all made it nasty because y'all started being rude, specifically Carlos. So then Carlos started calling Claudia like a professional shit talker and shit starter. The classmates voted and they voted for the girls to win. So Carlos was just calling Claudia a snitch when they left, which I feel like was warranted because like I said, she shouldn't be talking about stuff that's going on at the house. But Nick took it to another level and started calling her a colorist and saying that her white side came out. And I'm like, how is that a colorist for her just saying something about you that's true, but is personal? And like Claudia said, she's been accused of that before. And Nick said in his confessional that he knew that and he was personally trying to get under her skin. So to me, that was some bitch shit. And I told y'all I didn't like Nick. I knew it was something about him and I knew he wasn't genuine. He's a bitch. So Claudia was emotional. She was crying. And eventually Carlos checked on her like, are you good? Again, it's always Carlos who steps up first before Nick. And then Nick will follow suit. So Tamar and Carlos tell Nick, like, you need to talk to Claudia. We're gonna have to have a family meeting and figure this out. Santana comes in at lunchtime randomly. And he's like, oh, I can feel the tension in the air when I come in. And Carlos is like, well, we just want to make sure that you understand that you need to respect everybody. All of that coming in late at night, knocking on people's doors is not going to work. And China was like, yeah, because you knocked on my door last night. And Santana was like, oh, well, bitch has been getting woke up since we got in this motherfucker. So what's the problem? And China said, excuse me? Because he called her a bitch. And he was like, oh, everybody been getting woke up since we got here. So it took today. So he corrected himself and took the bitch out of the sentence. Then he tried to say he didn't knock on her door. They showed the clip where he did knock on her door. But anyway, Santana is like, I like China. I'm not going to disrespect her. So he acts like he understands and they hug it out. They were back at the house and Tamar and Santana were like, they miss having housekeepers and stuff. The house was a hot mess. So the next day they're going to present the bill to the congressman. Tamar had a show that was already scheduled, so she's not there. While they're on the bus, Nick apologizes to Claudia, so they make up. And I will see y'all for episode 6. Bye.